Right, Clark, before we look at this weekend's action against Peterborough Sports, can we get your reflections on last week's action away at Chorley?
You know what? It was a fantastic result. Let's start with that. It was everything that embodies who we are in terms of we fought for every ball. We were really aggressive in every action. It was everything that you expect to see from a Radcliffe side. If we're being super critical, we didn't create an awful lot, but defensively I thought we were outstanding. So it's definitely one to build on.
I think that's probably the key thing, as you say. Probably weren't the prettiest game to watch, but got the main result at the end of it. But with all that being said, bigger action now, moving on now to this weekend against Peterborough Sports. Obviously they're a side that's fighting safety. Last time we played up against them, we weren't victorious on that day. Is the lessons that you learnt from that match, and obviously I know you would have done all your analyst bits, but that you can take into Saturday's action?
Yeah, do you know what? I think you hit the nail on the head in part of your question there. This time of the season, it's about results. It doesn't matter how they come. It's about winning football matches, and achieving whatever it is that you set out to achieve, whether that be at the start of the season or, goals as your season goes on. As you say, Peterborough, I would imagine, they're fighting the drop. But every game's a cup final for them. Likewise with us, we want to be in that playoffs. So every game becomes a cup final for us. And fortunately for us, we've got a group of lads that'll do anything to win football matches.
That's good to see. And then obviously, it's probably fair to say we are in the final bit of the running of the season. What's it? 14 games to go, 13 after Saturday's action. How are you keeping the spirits high in Cabot, especially with games coming quick and fast?
Do you know what? I don't think we need to keep spirits high in terms of us. The lads will drive that themselves. I think, everybody's crystal clear on the goal and the target, the objective. We've put ourselves in a fantastic position. 14 games to go. It's important that we don't do all that work for nothing. So everything we're doing, the spirits being high in the camp, everything's about winning football matches, and we've got 14 games to go and try and win to put ourselves in a position, hopefully to be in them playoffs.
And then last but not least, message to the fans, obviously with it being back-to-back home games.
Do you know what? I don't know about you, Anton, but it put a smile on my face watching the reactions on the video from the Chorley game. Not so long ago at Spennymoor. That energy that we've had in those two games, if we can bring that back to the Neuven, I think you can be the 12th man. You can drag us over the line and get us to where we all want to be in the playoffs, and then ultimately try and go and get promoted.